Welcome to Gringos Liberados. I'm Axeman87. This is episode 9. I got some friends with me on the podcast this go around. I got Rude,
That's
Trajan,
we're colleagues.
and I got
Don't
4x4.
step your bounds.
Arms
I'm
length.
getting
arms
ran-checked
length,
by my friend Rude, who I've known for years. I guess we're just
We are
colleagues.
friends. We are friends. I'm sorry.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
tough. Holy cow. Wow. Great way to start the app. Man, oh man. We had a heck of a week in week 8 here. I almost said round 8. That wasn't correct. In week 8, everybody clinched playoffs. I think we had a bunch of lock-ins. Everybody might be locked in, actually.
Well, technically,
And,
if Furia win in 16 minutes twice in a row, they can
Oh,
make playoffs.
We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. It's going to be great. How was everybody's week? What have you been up to?
I've been just missing Brazil. I don't think, and this is going to be awful, I don't think I was on last week. I was on last week, but I did like 2 games, and it felt like I wasn't on. You know, I only had 2 games last week, so I was
Yeah. You're on with me.
painstakingly missing out on my region. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
got to
I feel
watch
that too.
some good quality, but man, I felt personally sad,
Yeah.
and that's all.
Yeah.
How was your week?
Yeah,
I was
not enough.
personally sad. That's all. Damn.
Me personally, Axe,
I'm on
who's
fire
not
today,
my
guys.
friend,
This is
but
gonna
my
be-
colleague, I was pretty sad this week.
Yeah. We're keeping.
But you
real
don't
on this
care.
You can't
one.
ask me why.
Yeah. We keep it
Yeah,
real
Rude,
here.
I don't care because we're not friends. I also had a 2-4, and it is like, man, I didn't really get to be a part of that one. But I was in chat for all the other ones, so
Yeah.
it's a fun time in chat. Anyway, 4x4 Trajan. What went on this week? How'd you feel this week?
You said your name for, so take it away.
All right.
Clearly the priority here.
What did I do? I mean, I just did the same shit, different day. You know.
Everyone had a nothing burger week.
I-
Forget about it.
I
Week
had
8
a
reactions.
I had a nothing burger week until about an hour ago, where I got my fiance's engagement ring back from the resizers, and it fits. So clappies for the viewers for actually
Nice.
sizing it right this time. Good job.
Let's go.
And now it's officially on the finger, so we're locked in.
Colleague Axeman, get a load of these 2 guys having their lives together.
Yeah, I guess.
Colleague Axeman.
Holy cow.
we were just talking
Salway,
before the
colleague
podcast
Axeman.
about how everyone has like a little responsibility. Like, okay, you know, Trajan is running production. Like, Axeman set up the run a show. Ruder's running the backup production. I'm gonna do the final editing, and it's all sounded very, you know, communist. And so
Yeah.
just hearing you call him like, you know, oh,
Comrade Axeman.
Comrade X.
Oh, man. Not sure how I feel about Comrade Axe, but...
You're the executioner.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
He's on board. He's on board.
Now I'm on board. There we go.
Well, now that you say that.
Immediately typecast as the guy on the firing squad. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Week 8 reactions and thoughts. What do we think of week 8? I know. So first things first, this week the top 6 were just fully locked, right?
For all intents and
Do we
purposes.
want to go through the specifics of that now, or no?
It just seemed like the biggest thing that happened in week 8. I think we can talk specifics later, but
Yeah. I think let's hit that now, because if we talk about anything afterwards, it's going to bleed back into this, and I don't want to be like, oh, we're going to get back into it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's just get it now.
Yeah, let's do it now. Very cool.
So how do Furia make top 6? Tell me the timeline.
So they have to. Trajan, I think you already.
Yeah,
like,
they have
said it
to
super
win
briefly.
twice. VKS have to lose both games, and Furia have to win with a combined game time of about 33.5 minutes over both games to win over VKS in terms of fastest games combined win time, which is like the third tiebreaker, because they are even on head-to-head and wins in second round robin if this happens.
Insane.
There is a slight caveat I want to add to that, which is that VKS also still have to play games this weekend. There's a small world where if VKS have 2 60-minute super bangers,
Yes.
and
if you could move that
Furia
back
have
up.
2 20-minute stomps, that it gets
So,
a little weird.
I think it doesn't, because it's combined time in wins, and VKS have to lose both times.
Oh, true.
Because so they get 6 each, I think.
Right.
Unless Furia has 7. No,
No,
they're on
he's
9. So
correct.
Furia have to win 2, VKS lose 2, and then their times don't matter. So it is sadly
Alrighty.
on Furia to do like the T1 versus
Dancing Herald 2 games in a row.
T1 versus LLA or whatever, just like Dancing Herald twice in a row. Yeah. So.
T1 versus your representative, sir.
T1 versus like NLC third seed, to be honest. Like get the.
No, it was Brazil.
It was the Madrid
It was
Lion.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Nevertheless,
So
Furrier are out.
it's
Basically,
just not. It's not gonna happen. Yeah.
No matter how hard Axeman believed, it did not change the timeline, sadly. And I was
did
after
not.
like 2 games of like Furia are going to win all 6 games from when he said that, and it's going to be fine. After 2 games, he was like, "I'm done with this. I'm dropping this point."
Yeah, no,
that
100% no. Rude, I don't think you were on last step, but last step I was like fully against Furia. Like
I heard. I was
Yeah.
I was taken aback because the week before you were like, "I'm all in. We've
I
got
thought they
7
could do
teams
it.
at the top that can win the league," and I was like, "You know what, little bro? I'm happy for you." And then the week after, you went,
Paper
"Yep,
hands.
if this team is not making playoffs, it's so doomed."
Yeah.
And the complete reversal arc. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Wait, that's me from the podcast before. Hold on one sec."
I like that you said "lil bro" because it did feel like I believed in Santa Claus, and then
Yeah.
you were like,
Yeah.
you were like, "Hey, Santa Claus isn't real," and I was like, "What do you mean he's not real? Of course he is." And then over the course
Yeah.
of a week, I was like, "Oh my god."
You're
I
chain
came back
smoking
to you
dad.
December 28th,
Down
and you're
the
like,
chimney. You're like, "Ugh." Shoot.
"Yeah, I may have heard Mom
fine.
just snacking away on some cookies late last night. The milk stains around her mouth
He's
were a little
not
bit
real."
too obvious." Like,
My eyes were open, but yeah, Furrier's
Yeah.
super locked out. And with Furrier being in 7th place, that means the top 6 are locked in. I think the race for top 4, which gives you better seating in like the bracket, or whatever. Hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is
It is, yeah, the bracket.
also like fairly locked in as well. Like we were going through what VKS would have to do to get 4th, and it was like really, really tough.
Yeah.
I think INTZ and Fluxu are tied for 4th.
I like
and
that you forgot about
they-
Loud, because I've been forgetting about Loud for weeks as well. Because they're actually
Loud are
a-
also
Loud.
in there.
they're a win above Flux
battle.
and INTZ, but they have also just slipped off my brain like War of Redux pack. I don't know why, but I just can't ever remember that they're a real contender. Even though Robo is now doing Robo things, and in theory all the pieces are in place, I just never even consider them as like a winner. I don't know why, but it seems like I'm maybe not the only one that just isn't feeling Loud as much anymore, you know?
Yeah, Loud 3rd place feels crazy. That doesn't feel right.
I mean, to their credit, it does show that, I mean, the fact that they are in 3rd, like isolated in 3rd, 11 wins, only behind Pain and Red, which we were consensus last week. I think based on things this week, I would still take that they are the 2 best teams. They started 0-3. The fact that they've rattled off, they've gone 11-2, right? And so it is wild, you know, like to give them credit, but also to your point, Trajan, it's a little wild that we've just kind of forgot about Dre, if you will.
Yeah, including
Totally.
beating Pain, which no one's done for a while. Only ICZ and Loud have beat Pain. And
I read a stat that Pain have not lost 2 games in a row in regular season since like middle of last split, and they haven't had an 0-2 weekend since like the middle of last split, since they were like 3-7. Like they have just been quietly the most consistent team in Brazil.
it's...
Not anymore.
Haha.
Well, maybe still today.
I mean, still, I
but,
think
no.
it's not like we have any other consistent teams at the top, but
Well, I think
the
the most
best of the bad
consistent
bunch.
team is probably Kaboom, but that's not that's
Yeah.
not at the top of the table.
Loud have
So,
won 4
okay.
games in a row. It's so weird.
So Loud, definitely in for top 4. If INTZ or Flukes who want to get in there, I think you have to beat Loud at some point. I
Yeah.
haven't checked the schedule on that.
Loud INTZ on Saturday will be important for that one.
Yeah.
And Fluxu INTZ as well, obviously. So INTZ
Yeah.
has 2
Match of
really
the week.
important
God.
matches against their
Yeah.
direct competitors, and both Loud and Fluxu have like a freebie second game to get away with. So they will be Loud could just like beat Loss and then lose to INTZ and then go, sorry, little bro, doesn't matter. So
And then RMC took me all the way through this. For VKS to get like 4th, they have to 2-0, and then Fluxu and INTZ play each other, like you mentioned. So they can't both have 2 losses, but if they both go 1-1, then VKS can make top 4. But for that to happen, I think Fluxu has to lose to Kaboom. And
Well, then.
Yeah.
VKS.
But if
Guys, I
to-
don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to look
Yeah,
at
If
the
there
book.
was a team
It
that was
just
going to shit
looked
the bed
doomed.
to Kaboom, it would be Fluxu.
think
I don't
right
know
now
what the
it
hell's
kinda
going on
would
with
be.
this team, dude.
I think it would be red.
It's
Yeah,
like
they
what I
do
said.
too.
Did I say this last week or the week before in the podcast? Like, it feels different, but it's not different. Because like Loud are actually
Yeah.
back already, and this is what happened last split. And Fluxu had a big streak and then bottled it before playoffs, and now that's happening again. I'm like, I really want it to be different, but I can't ignore that it isn't. So, that's what I even asked Tay in the interview. I was like, "Is it going to be different? Tell me it's going to be different, Tay." And he was like, "Well, it kind of looks the same, doesn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yes, Tay, yes!
yes, Tay, it does." But he did say, and I think maybe Rude, you said this, or 404, someone said this, that like they do look better than they did last split. They don't look like the same team. They looked like they
I didn't
cheesed
say
their
that.
way almost to an 8 streak, and then they got exposed after a while. Where now they look like a better team. They're still not perfect, and they still have fumbles, but they do look like they're fundamentally stronger than they were, which is what Tay said, and what one of us in the English Challenge Eagles also asserted before that week. So, you know.
Yeah, I do think they look better. Like, I mean, they aren't as consistent, but I feel like their highs have looked higher.
Yeah, they're cleaner.
You know, like Brunsey and Hauser are performing at a very high level. Desamis, again, still been impressed by his growth. I still think he is the weak link. If I had to put somewhere that like that 5-0-0 game on Viego, and then you just kind of sat there with your thumb up here, you know what, for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You know, those games should not be lost, especially not to, with all due respect, was that against Los Grandes? Yeah, that was literally against Los Grandes. Like,
Yeah,
all
they
respect, that shit can't happen. You know who doesn't do that? Loud.
Yeah, they don't really do that.
And apparently they're bad now, so, you know.
Loud aren't bad.
They're just, that's the
Nah,
thing.
Louder going to Worlds.
No.
Louder going to Worlds.
Herder.
Fluxu, is everyone ready for Fluxu and Red to just like fall apart just before making it?
Yeah, and these are the teams that could bounce them out of playoffs. Is Fluxu and Red. Like, they could bounce Loud out of playoffs in a best of 5 by just hitting the right peaks at the right time and getting the right drafts. I don't believe that Pain will, but we've got like that. Who was tweeting it? Was it the Ilya Deslendas tweeting the rock paper scissors graphic? Like,
Yeah.
we just need
Yeah,
the
yeah.
right orientation of matchups, and we could just bounce Loud out in lower bracket in like round 3. And then we're like,
Good
well,
deal. Good deal.
INTZ Worlds, baby, let's go.
Yeah, INCC Worlds. Let's do it.
If you had to send any team to Worlds, I know I had this conversation with Trajan when we were in the green room. So I guess more to 4x4 and Axe. If you had to send any team to Worlds at present time, who would you send?
For me, it's Fluxu all the way. Brunson needs to be in Worlds.
Okay.
This is a tough one. I don't know. I do feel I think it would be either Pain or Loud. Because Pain, again, they don't look. If it was just Pain last year, still being kind of this, you know, play safe. This like, you're good enough to beat anyone in Brazil, but you're not. You're going to get the breaks beat off you by anyone not named any of the teams in Brazil or LATAM. Sorry, LA. Like, Loud have a bunch of experience. I think the only thing that could deter them, that would like make me nervous about sending them to Worlds at this point, would be just like motivation and kind of like having, you know, been there and done that before, which I think is real. Like, complacency is a thing, especially like, I don't. It's weird for guys like Robo and Tinones. I would simultaneously question it the most and the least, because you can't get to where they are unless you have this just insane internal motivation. But
yeah.
I don't know. I have a little more faith in Pain this time around. I think those guys, you want to talk about wanting to prove something to someone. That roster, you know, has survived pretty much 2 years at this point, like the core of it, Karaoke, Weiser, and Dinketo. And they have survived a lot. And I think whatever they have survived here will prepare them well to survive the inevitable, you know, ass beating they're going to suffer when they go to scrims. Because that happens to every Brazilian team. They've talked about that as like, if you don't have good bonding and togetherness in Brazil, you're going to go out there. Once you leave Brazil, you're going to get your ass beat. And if you are not a good team, it will fall apart and you will shit a bit at international competition. So I think Pain, it would make sense that they have that. This is amateur psychology, by the way. But like, yeah, and they're playing a bit of a different brand of League of Legends. I think the meta is starting to favor them a little bit more. Yeah, I'd be fine with sending either Loud or Pain. I do kind of take Axeman's point of Fluxu and, like Fluxu and Red, they could have the highest ceiling, but they could also just like completely implode. So who would I rather send to Worlds? I want Brazil to have a good showing, the safest bet for that, and like for Brazil to keep the good momentum going that we've had over the last couple international events.
Yeah.
For me, the best bet is Loud or Pain.
Yeah, I think the team that is most likely to beat everyone worse than them is Pain. That's just what they do, right?
Yeah.
They tend to beat everyone's worse than them by just being better, and I think Pain's likely to do that. And
if you go there and like beat the PCS and Vietnam 2 seeds and the LATAM team, no one's gonna freak out.
Yeah, it's really solid.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna freak out.
Axeman's gonna freak out, but everyone else will be okay.
Another topside diff event. I can't take it.
Oh, true. And if I send Tay to international, I don't know that that's
good, man.
holding up.
I hate to keep bringing this up, but not keep, but the last time Tay was at an international event was the Urgot Ward TP, INTZ 2020. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
I try not to.
I can't say I do, but I don't need to.
I can imagine.
To go back and do
I
that
know
to
who Tay
myself.
is. I can imagine it wasn't great. So yeah, I think that's Pain's probably the most consistent. And like, so that a kind of extrapolated logic answer is if Red win the championship, it means they must have gotten it together to the point where they're actually using this team's potential to some degree. Because if they don't, they will not win. They will not win unless they actually realize the potential of this roster, in my opinion. So if they win, it means they did, and then they'll actually be good at international. Because this like good streak started with Red. And they still have Titan, they still have Aegis, and these were like some super strong members there. Envy, I think, is equivalent to Grevthar right now, fairly. And then FMB, I just want to see FMB at international and I just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
I want to see if it's good or not, and I need to know. So I could take Red just on that kind of, if A leads to B, then B will be fine to go to C kind of plan.
I derailed the whole show, so I'm glad I did that.
No,
we can
it was
continue
good
down
podcast, man. Can't believe it. No one's
great discussion.
How dare you?
Any favorite moments from week 8? I know there was a couple.
I have one.
It was a lot of upsets. What do you got, Traden?
My favorite moment was when 3 members of Red just sat in around a circle around Scary and spammed emotes to delay his death before the Baron timer. That was my favorite moment because they were all laughing and chatting in their cams, and it was just a very CBLOL moment, It was just like a game that they'd fallen really behind in again versus literally Kaboom, and then they just sorted it out, and now they're BMing. Like, you put that early game together, and now you're BMing. Really? Is that the mindset we're coming in with? And I just thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny moment.
I'm telling y'all, they haze new junglers. That's scary, right?
They literally do.
They haze them. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a great moment.
It was the equivalent of turning up to a gunfight. You have 3 spoons in your hand, and then the enemy's gun just misfires and they have nothing. And then you just walk up to them and slap them with a load of spoons. That's how it felt.
A weird extended metaphor,
No,
but
good.
it was a good
Yeah,
one.
that's right.
Yeah. You know what? I the word spoon is a little too pleasurable to not be able to throw in on occasion. So
Anyone ever just
there's not that much League of Legends context.
You get like a
And
metal
you just
spoon,
spoon
and
in.
just smacks your forward with a metal spoon. That hurts, man. It hurts a lot. It's
That hurts.
that would take me
I
out.
also can't remember what I was watching, but there was a thing about how unviolent spoons are as cutlery versus the rest of cutlery. So that
They've clearly
was in my head.
got if you can guard your eyes, you're probably fine. Yeah.
Oh no, ew. My favorite moment from week 8
Yeah. It is with
was it was INTZ beating Fluxu. Fluxu going back on freaking Fraud Watch after we were so convinced that they were back.
They really are.
Oh my god, that's gonna sound like a bit of a slight onto INTZ of just like, oh, how do you lose to INTZ Keck W? But like, I guess the other side of that was INTZ doing it. Against
ZZK
The
baby.
draft was so
Against
bad for Fluxy
good
though.
teams.
Oh,
Or wait a minute.
the
They lost to Lost.
No, they lost to Los and
into
Pain.
Rumble.
Yeah.
No,
Lost
INTZ
to
beating
Pain.
Pain. Excuse me,
INTZ
I
beat
bungled.
Pain.
Yeah.
I bungled that.
The
Okay,
Pain
yeah.
one was
So
cool.
I mean, yeah. So I guess both these things kind of happened this week. Is Fluxu had a want week, and INTZ beat Pain, and INTZ back on like kind of the public consciousness when it was like, oh, are they for real? Oh yeah, they're for real. And then everyone else kind of got good again, and now we're back on the INTZ hype train, and I think that is great because they are like, again, like it isn't a doubt like, are they good or not? No, they're a legitimately good team, but like they still feel like this like kooky underdog story, and that's very fun.
Yeah,
I think that comes from I don't know if people value oh my word, INTZ jungler.
Yampy.
Stop rude.
Yampy.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if INTZ people value Yampy as highly.
You don't seem to value Yampy very highly, at least.
I don't know. I had a mind bungle to use for force word, but I think that's what my issue would be with INTZ, because I value Ninja Kiwi probably as highly as the majority of the rest of the AD carry pool. ZZK I have as top 2 top laner. I value him higher than a lot of other top laners, and maybe Nia isn't quite as high on my support power ranking as the rest of the top tier teams, but that's not enough to keep them out of my good wishes, you know? So I'm looking at, I suppose, mid and jungle by extension. Because we also had questions, we cast that game, Trajan, about Nosferus and the level he was at relative to the rest of the league's mid laners. And then that game he was better than the majority of the league's mid laners, so it was a little sussy.
Bonkeriest take I saw from after this week's games was INT is Z is good, but Nosferus is bad, and that's going to hold them back. And I was like, what? Which games were we watching? Nosferus giga carried the win against Pain. He was so massive in that game. Yampy and Nia also very good, right? Ninja Kiwi also piloted as champion, and so did ZZK, but Nosferus was so pivotal. He had one bad decision, which we can't even be sure was his decision, right? We don't know if he's the one saying, see ya, I'm TPing base fast, or if someone was like, go backdoor Nosferus, he's like, okay, fucking TP, fine. So that was one bad move that he was part of, but everything else he did was absolutely godlike in that game, and he was good the next day as well. So I think Nosferus is class, man, and I'm really happy that he keeps getting better every split, and if he just goes like this, he's going to be the best mid laner in like 2 splits. So
better than Tinnos.
Like that's the natural conclusion of that take.
He's going to be second best mid laner after 1 split, and then better than Tinnos after 2. That's the trajectory we're on. He's actually Miners Academy.
Let me pull up my note file to pull up my note file to clip that.
Yeah, come back here in 2 splits when he is gapping the whole league. And INTZ, the Giant, are back. They've had 2 wins on the trot now. After they win this split, it's gonna happen. Claps Faker and lane.
My favorite moment of week 8 was Lava getting to have a good game, because I think we all got to see a good side of Lava.
Yeah.
Which was really powerful. That's my I don't know, fake favorite moment. My real favorite moment was Weiser getting sauced and tossed in the Fluxu game. Just watch it, because it's I don't know. It was almost like watching one of those animated superhero shows, and you're watching and the superhero just gets absolutely wrecked because he doesn't understand what the villain does or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But it was so funny because Fluxu were down by so much gold when they did it. And they just randomly picked the best top laner in the league, and he just got caught out. But it was also visually really good comedic timing too. I don't know. Watch the clip if you haven't seen it. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Very cool. If nobody has anything else, I think I want to move into the. We got a little game for you. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that set up now.
Axeman's video games. Let's go.
Okay. Let me get this set up. Hold on.
On deck.
I have a bunch of things.
Giant colleague Axeman's video games.
All right, folks. Hello and welcome to our little game show. What day is it? Our contestants 4x4, Trajan and Rude.
It's Wednesday. I did it.
Rude, you win! No. He's done it! All right, cool.
Back to the rest of the podcast.
So this is going to be a fun game show. I'm not going to tell you the rules, but you are going to slowly figure out the rules on your own, and it's going to be really fun. All right, 4x4, you're going to be our guinea pig, but I'm going to throw you kind of a softball here. You're going to pick up on this really quickly. Okay. I'm now realizing I didn't center any of these. Hold on.
Vamp,
I can fix
vamp.
this on live.
Phil, someone play the piano. Do a little
Uh,
jazz.
The
4x4.
power of editing will save us. Don't worry.
I got it. 4x4. When this player has to carry, when everything's on the line, when it's his day, what day is it?
All right, it's Rob's day.
Correct! It is Rob's day! And hopefully the players are starting to get an idea of what game they're playing. Trajan, when
Yeah.
this player has to carry, when it's his day, what day is it?
Tins Day? Is that a day of the week?
It is Tins Day! It is!
I like that he's got the tiny fingers,
Trajan,
the little tiny.
you got it. He's got the tiny fingers, man. I pulled some pretty good images.
Yeah.
I have to say. All right. Now that we understand the game here, folks, a little bit, let's make it exponentially harder
Unlucky
for Rude.
Use the color, man.
This is what I get for being the colleague.
Yeah.
That's my
All
bad.
right.
Colleague Rude.
Yeah,
It's all coming back around.
this is my ultimate revenge. Rude, when it's this player's day, what day is it?
Sheesh.
This player plays for
INTZ, right?
INTZ.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
This could go one of two ways. So I'm gonna make sure that it
This
goes the
man's
right
typing,
way.
This man's googling. This man's cheating.
Yeah,
This man's cheating so hard right now.
Typing, dog.
That's
I'm
unbelievable.
big typing.
Unbelievable conduct.
Okay.
Look at INTZ.
We're
Flag on the
It's-
play.
It's Nia Day.
It is Nia's day. Correct.
okay. We're getting downgraded from
this
colleague
game
real
is
soon at this
so
rate.
much fun. Yeah.
Excommunicated.
Oh, work
right.
acquaintance is gonna hit so hard.
Everybody has 1 point after round one. This is so fun. Okay, I am
Search bar
forgetting
has 1 point.
which ones. I have to remember which ones I've done. 4x4. When it's this player's day, what day is it?
Okay,
Wow.
this is becoming a little targeted at this point. Okay.
No. It's fine. It's fine.
It's a random
It's fine.
selection.
It's
It's a random selection.
it's Rangers Day. It's the Goats
It
Day.
is Rangers Day. Correct. Very
It's actually
good.
Goats Day. Right.
All right, that one was easy. Let's ramp it up here a little bit for Trajan. So, fun fact: this is the best picture I have of any player. Trajan, when it's this player's day, what day is it?
Oops. Who's this? This is not a Furia team member.
who is
This
this?
is none
Can
of
I
the
steal?
Furia
I want to
players.
steal.
Wait, is this?
You might
Wait,
get to
is
steal.
it
You might
Maestro's
get to
Day?
steal. Maestro's Day.
Is it
Trajan.
Maestro's Day?
It is not Maestro's Day. I give the opportunity to steal
Oh, my
here.
horse face.
Oh, he was so confident.
Cause that could still be Maestro, but it's just not how he's abbreviated the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm not going.
Is it a
crazy.
Mize Day?
That
I don't even know even
I'm
sure if that's
looking.
the point
Hold
of the
on, I'm
game.
looking.
I'm not even sure if it's meant to be abbreviated in a way.
No, I might have just gotten the wrong guy here. Hold on.
Bro, there's no shot. There's no shot.
Trajan,
thought I
this is Maestro.
Come on now.
come on.
Hand
Alright,
me over
sorry,
your
Goot.
materials.
I
I'm
thought
taking
that
over
was
this
Goot.
game.
No, it looks just like Goot. Sorry, you're right. That is Maestro's
Have you
day. My
seen
bad,
Goot?
Goot.
I do. Hold on. I'm gonna.
I thought he grew a beard.
Bro, he has the babiest face almost of
Yeah.
anyone
Goot-
on
Goot
the
is-
stage.
yeah. Like if
Okay.
Vital didn't have that little
The little stash.
thing he calls a mustache on the top of his lip,
The little
he would
caterpillar.
have the biggest baby face. Yeah,
Yeah.
little
This
caterpillar guy.
This is ultimately my fault, but I did Google Goot.
And that's what came up.
Maestro.
That's on me. That's
This is
on
why
me.
you don't
Axe clicked
trust
on the
Google.
Axe clicked on the PNG. The little text at the side reads "Maestro's glorious return to fame." He's like, "This guy's cute."
This is
Yep.
Goot.
This
Yeah, this is
must
Goot.
be
This is Goot
Goot.
for sure.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. I gotta find one for Rude so it doesn't seem like I'm bullying him. Hold on.
Okay, so
all right, cool,
he's-
Don't
cool.
worry, dude. Me and my search bar are ready to go. Don't you worry.
It does. I don't trust the search bar, Rudy. That's what Axeman used for this one.
That's what got Axon in trouble.
Led him very
really.
astray.
Rude. When it's this player's day, what day is it? Oh, it's very small.
Just the tiniest. What,
It's
what's
a
he doing
Netuno
up there?
day. Let's go.
What's he doing up there?
Netuno's day. There
he
we
is.
go. It's Netuno. Hey, look at him.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yeah,
it's
it's bigger.
Netuno.
Oh,
Very
it is
cool.
Netuno's day. He's such a cute little boy.
That is correct, Rude. It is
You
Netuno's
can
day.
come out from behind there, Netuno. Don't worry.
Don't be shy.
He's very shy. Okay, cool.
We like you
Let's get him
now.
out of
2
there.
splits ago, we didn't like you, but now we like you.
Now we like the
True, very true. Now it becomes very difficult not doubling up here. 4x4. When it's this player's day. Hold on, let me resize it before you can see
Before
it.
Excuse me. Is this one going to be
Oh,
anywhere near as hard as the other ones, or is it going to be?
This one might be a little bit harder. It
This
kinda
one could also
depends,
just
right?
be wrong as well. Like,
It could just be wrong.
Who knows?
4x4. What day is it?
Oh, you
Oh,
can't.
it's Redbird's day.
Can't miss that smile.
Yeah, you can't miss that smile. Come on, it's Redbird's Day. Very good.
Yeah.
4x4. That brings you up to 3 points going into round 3.
How many
Very
points do
well
you have,
done.
Axeman?
Me
None.
-1
Negative
now. So
every
because
every
I
time
totally
he's given a
got one
question,
wrong.
minus one.
And apparently, Good and Maestro looking similar is a hot take. So now I'm gonna have to defend that on Twitter as
It's
well.
the first comparison that has been worse than the person in Twitch chat on back in the unofficial days who said I look like House. It's the worst. It's worse than that even. You know?
House? No, you
Yeah.
don't look like House.
No,
really?
I don't.
Let me do a quick
I'd love
side by
to-
side here.
I'd love to be House, but it's just not the case.
It's just not the case.
It's just not the
Someone
case.
said I looked like Minerva, and that I can buy.
Minerva?
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah,
You got
Minerva,
Minerva
former.
on this list.
We know him as a former Rensga jungler, but he played for other teams back in the day. He's on the either the
internationally
Gringos now.
recognized jungler Minerva. Yeah, I could see this actually. I
Yeah.
could see this.
Without the glasses.
Comment
and
down
if I-
below if you think any of this broadcast team look like any of
Anyone
any
else.
CBLOL player
Yeah.
ever. Let us know.
Give us the doppelgangers.
Very cool. Trajan,
Hello.
into round 3.
Yes.
What day is it?
Oh, it's Brun's Day.
It is Bronze Day.
Let's go.
We're having a good Bronze Day.
Bronze
That's
Day.
correct.
Brun's
That is
Brun's Day.
correct. All right. Oh, not that one.
In before Rudude gets someone from like the 2016 Exodia team.
Very cool.
It's a Tid's day.
It's from like Kaboom Academy 2014.
All right. We'll this will be a softball for
For
Rude.
acquaintance rude.
Rude, it's this player's day. What day is it?
Oh. This is my. It's Teton's day. Okay.
It's Teton's Day. Let's
is.
go.
Let's go Titan.
We
That
love
was a
Titan's
softball. Thank
Day.
you, Axeman.
Yeah, anytime.
Everyone got
See, I
one.
can be nice. I
That's
can
fair.
be nice. I can also be mean to other players. 4y4, you've been doing well so far. You ready for your ultimate challenge?
We're all on 3 points.
Very ready.
Very
Born
ready? All right, 4y4. When it's this player's day, what day is it?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Ninja
These aren't
Kiwi's day.
difficult.
All right, cool. I thought this would be a lot harder. It is Ninja Kiwi's Day. I probably couldn't do this.
Yeah. We just have
I
facial
literally
recognition.
couldn't do it with Good.
Axe is projecting really hard right now. He was a couple of weeks ago. He was like, "Let's sit everybody down and say, can you name all 10 AD carries?" And we were kind of like, "Ooh,
I
maybe."
could probably
Axe down?
still. I could probably still put names to faces of like 80% of my final year high school class of like 100 and something people. I'm
Oh,
good
man.
with faces.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd ace that mini game as well.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I said wow because I thought that was low. Only 80.
80%.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that high? I think that's high. I
My
feel like a lot of people walk out of
I
school and
could
go see
nail
nodes
that.
and just forget their entire experience.
within my first,
I enjoyed high school. I think that's a critical.
That
thing.
might be
Yeah.
that
Had a
might
great
be it
time.
because I didn't have a terrible high school experience.
my
Very
first
cool.
like I don't know week or so at high school, and I was in brand new high school. 0 people I knew went from elementary, middle school, whatever,
Yeah.
to high school. all from primary school to secondary school. I knew nobody. Within a week, I knew all of the primary schools that my class went to, what like schoolhouse they were in, and who was friends with who, for no reason. Nobody had told me this information. I'd just been able to garner it through like listening and being an absolute creep weirdo man
Just
that would just listen.
So I need to know who's
gremlin.
beefing with who.
Yeah, absolute gremlin behavior. But within like my class of 30 and like 1 week, I knew all of the source.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, 7i, get shit on. I knew your lives before you knew mine.
Don't tell Rude your secrets, because he will not forget them.
You won't forget them. Meanwhile, my mom's been on holiday for the last couple of weeks. I think I forgot what she looks like. So that's a little tough.
I got slighted in year 7 Spanish. So first year of high school Spanish. I did like okay on a test. One of the girls I was sat next to looked at me and went, "Nerd." I went, "Okay." And then she went, "At least I'm not ginger." And I was like,
Wait, what?
You're clearly mistaken it for someone else.
I suppose.
Not only did she not know Spanish, she didn't know what ginger meant.
It was a science test as well. Like it was so good.
Clearly,
So-
just legally blind, unfortunately. So.
Pigmentation needed some work. Nevertheless, yeah. Daniela, you're on fraud watch now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Also, has been on fraud watch for the past decade about just never. All right,
Need to
should
get
we get back
Daniela
to
on
it?
the podcast. Yes, let's
Before we
finish
just
the
keep
last
dragging
round.
Rude's old classmates.
Apparently, my game was so easy. All right, here we go. Trajan,
Yeah. Let's
last
complete the
one.
perfect score. Let's do it.
Trajan, when it's this player's day, what day is it?
It's Wiser Day. Wiser's Day.
Oh my gosh,
The wisest
y'all
day?
can really do this, man.
Oh, this guy rules.
This is Wiser's Day. This is Wiser's Day.
You got to do screenshots from like the neck up. You can't. If you have any doubt, then you just look at the logo on their jersey, or you could like really try to mess them up and like grab a
old team roster.
Yeah, exactly.
Jersey.
Grab like a Parang photo from
Oh,
Yeah.
from like the Kaboom days or the Flamingo
that's
days.
a slippery slope.
I got you. Okay, if we do this again, I'll make it much harder next time.
Yeah.
That's the note I'm getting right now. Rude. When it's this player's day for the last round, the only chance one of our players has to potentially lose the game.
Oh, there's no pressure.
What
at
day
all.
is it? Come on, please.
This is
Wait,
sneaky
you
difficult.
must
This was a
know
good
it.
one.
No, this is fine.
I wouldn't qualify it anymore before
bro,
you
this
answer.
is
Rude.
taking a while for a question.
No,
That's fine.
I'm no typing. I'm gonna guess.
typing.
I'm gonna take the guess.
Come on,
no
search
guess.
bar, hurry
no
up.
typing.
I'm looking for a guess. We heard guess.
No, it's not a guess. I'm like tossing it up between two people. Is it a Geeks Day?
It is Geeks Day. It
got
is.
it.
Here you go.
Well, to be
Geeks
fair,
Day.
Geeks is actually an academy player for Kaboom Academy.
Yes,
Well,
you got it wrong.
Okay, my bad, bro.
He's
I
bad.
tried to play your game. I tried to
No,
play
it's
your
Geeks
game.
Day. It's Geeks Day. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
good. Very good. Awesome.
I knew it
So-
wasn't. I knew it wasn't Grell. I knew it wasn't Grethar because that guy looks like Jake Peralta,
Yeah.
and I knew it wasn't Trigo. So I was like, could it be damage? And then in my head, I'm like, I know what damage looks like. I can't describe it to you, but
Yeah.
I know it's not damage. So I pieced it together.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Alright, that's our game. What
I
day
think that
is
was
it?
like the second hardest of the bunch. Honestly, I think I got the two hardest that were there.
I think
I
All of yours I
Neo
looked
was
at
the
and went,
Neo was
really
definitely
thought-
the hardest.
I thought Ninja Kiwi would be the hardest, but it just
nah,
be
we all
fair,
love Ninja Kiwi,
I
dog.
think
You're
actually,
a
I
fraud.
think Maestro masquerading as Goot somehow was probably
Oh.
the hardest one.
Yeah,
that was
no,
probably
actually,
the
that's
hardest.
right. That's right.
That
That's
was,
right.
That was probably the hardest one.
But if I didn't have a jersey, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you got to
wow.
do next time is throw in the pictures of the coaches.
Yeah.
Then we're screwed.
Put their faces on
Hey.
different jerseys intentionally, just to.
So
confuse
I
them.
thought this would be impossible. So I was like, they're not gonna get it. I gotta like lowball them. I'll
Yeah.
make like Nia the hardest one as a joke,
Yeah.
and then yeah, you just nailed all of them instantly. And
We're the
yeah,
best.
I would
The
definitely
greatest.
make this. I think if I do it again, I'm gonna like shop different jerseys onto the players and like give them
Yeah.
disguises.
Or, yeah, just get them from like from teams past.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ranger was wearing a
He's wearing a
Flamengo
Flamengo jersey in that one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, that one's maybe a little bit harder, but he's just so distinctive, man. Everybody, that's what I love about CBLOL too. Everybody has like a very distinctive brand, I feel. which is really cool.
Speaking of a distinctive brand, super random quick tangent just before we move on. Has anyone else seen the INTZ space jerseys? The new ones.
The pink ones?
For playoffs,
Yes.
yeah. Axeman linked to me.
really
They're
they wear those for
so
playoffs?
fire. I think they must be, but like, they're new and they're so fire, bro. They're like a really lovely,
the
like...
pink ones are sweet.
Yeah, they're super sick. And they got great designs on them. And I guess they might not be for playoffs, but they're like... It's the first time INTZ has been in playoffs for a while, so they're kind of playoffs jerseys. And I just think they rule. I think they absolutely rule. And I like that it's another color and isn't just another black and white team, because there's a lot of teams with just black and white colors. So,
Yeah.
And I would say the CBLOL jersey game is generally very clean.
Very cool.
Well, how do you feel about the Los
Moving
Grandes
back.
jersey with like the
holographic one?
color? Yeah.
Oh, I
like
love
it.
those. That's really cool.
I think
Yeah,
they're
it grew on me.
fine.
It took a bit, but it grew on me.
I like the new Lost logo. That instead of like the weird flamey thing that just looks like the symbol, it's like a helmet, but it's also on fire, but it looks like it says LGD, which is just a different team. Like, so I didn't like the old one. I like the new logo, and the holographic one is certainly unique. So I'm okay with it. We just got Natuno back, even though he's not got the jersey on. But it's I think it's interesting. At the very least, it's unique. It's not my favorite, but I respect the
Yeah, they went for it.
I respect the move.
Should we
Fury
go
is
back
the
to
best
full
one,
box?
to be clear.
Is Axeman
yes.
finished?
Please
Yeah.
take me back.
Take me away. Yeah. Okay. Back to four.
Take me away. Very cool. Moving on from that game, which I'll have to make much harder next time. Let's talk about matches to watch week 9, where we think the league is headed going in here. So with all the playoffs locked in, there's a lot of games that are not like super impactful. There's also a lot of top teams into bottom teams as well, like Pain Liberty, Fluxo, Kaboom, yeah, I don't know. I'm having trouble finding like a narrative in these matches.
It's INTZ's week. That's who we're watching this week.
I think
It
that's-
is.
Unironically.
How do INTZ do?
I think it's a lot of
Do
individual
they-
team narratives that we need to watch. We're watching them on their own, not who they're against, right? Like, we're like, how is Lau gonna do? How's Fluxo gonna do? INTZ particularly because they are so like out of place in a sense, right? There's a lot of individual team narratives, but not like opposing team narratives. It feels like.
I got you. For me, I can't help watching Fluxo. I think them O2ing last week really like, kind of like we talked about earlier. Like somebody told me Santa Claus wasn't real. I feel like somebody told me Fluxo wasn't real, and I haven't decided if I believe it or not.
Yeah,
That's completely fair.
Should we
But,
should we take a bit of time? Cause we got some time, right? I'm not
we got some
tripping.
time.
We're still like.
Yeah.
Do we want to do the weekly MVP discussion before we have the super show next week, where it kind of has to be decided?
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
Oh yeah,
baby.
yeah. We can see who's still in the lead, right? Because both Weiser and
Who's-
Brunsey got kind of dogged on this
Buying
week.
good stock. Yeah.
Well, did we have anyone right
I'll-
behind them, like who were like, if it's not Weiser Brunsey,
if
then
it-
it's X?
It's Titan still.
I think names.
I still
names
had
worth
Titan up
watching.
there.
How
Yeah,
long's it been
Titan.
since he did anything really? He's like he's not base clutching anymore, and he's still dying in every single 2v2 in lane. So like, I feel like he's flattened off as
Aegis?
well.
Can I raise you Aegis?
What about? I mean, if you want to talk strictly value,
The 0 and
I think
7
there
rel?
are conversations.
Aegis, that one,
I-
that Aegis.
That raw performance was rough.
It was
I
not
think I made the
Um,
comment last week about Titan. I made the comment last week that we wouldn't get a lot of good tape on Red because their strength of schedule is so weak, and I feel like that's really hurting Titan too. Like they played Liberty, Kaboom, and they're playing Lost this next Saturday. So if you're looking for like big massive plays from Titan, he's just not gonna have to make any before the end of the split. So
I mean, they had to come from behind in both of those games.
But it wasn't just him. He was solo
No,
doing
true.
that before. I think it wasn't as much just him. I think some people that I have my eye on right now are Dinkedo, who was very solid and is now very good. He's trending up, which is good. Potentially Tinones, who went into a really hot mid streak, but I don't really know. I'm not really sure how he's doing now. He's not doing badly, but is he still really good? Is he still like doing game carry and stuff?
Tinos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when he's on like not like Jason Kaisa when he's on champions that he's on.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, he's like his floor is just so high.
Yeah. Just picking the right champs. Same with Dinkedo. They picked him Jace, it was bad. Anything else? Cool, love that. So here's an interesting pick actually. What about Ninja Kiwi?
No, if you're going anyone from
wow.
INTZ, you're going ZZK.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
Ninja
so, too.
Kiwi has been doing also really well in lane and does better consistently in team fights than ZZK does later. I think there are games where ZZK smashes lane and then doesn't do anything with it. On like Olaf.
No,
or...
there aren't. I disagree with that take as a whole. Even the the game versus whoever they just beat, where it was against Pain, where he's playing Olaf, and he runs into the backline and dies as Olaf. It may not be like it, and you know, maybe I am a little bit cope here, but him running in and dying, but chunking B-Voy to 30% HP is more valuable than a lot of top laners when they're in that position, who will just wail away on front line, but be getting free hit by AD carries, and then they've done 20% damage to a tank not threatened an AD carry. ZZK will dive into a backline, deal 70% of their HP, and even though they die for it, where other top laners will like value their life and live, ZZK's winning team fights. It's like that AD carry mentality of, I don't care if your KDA is bad, if you're flashing in to kill everybody, right? Or kill your high value target.
That's fine.
I think ZZK is actually doing a lot in these team fights, and
I think
if I'm picking anyone on INTZ, it's him for the fact that he is actually carrying, and then it's like the discussion of, well, do I value ZZK as a top carry, or do I value Wiser as a top Stonewall? You know?
Yeah. I think that it's a reasonable point, and I do accept that top laners don't have to survive to be good, right? Sometimes your job is to just kamikaze into the backline, right? And that's fair, and that's playing a champion, right? For me, I think Ninja Kiwi, in INCZ's losses, Ninja Kiwi is never, ever the problem, and is always playing fights really well and trying really hard and putting good numbers out. There are games, there's at least one game that springs to mind where ZZK dying has lost them the entire game. When he was one of his Jax games and he walks into the river with no business, dies, and they lose within like 2 minutes because the Baron goes down. So I think ZZK has a lower floor and has volatility outside of the game, outside of the lane, that sometimes can cost them. Whereas I just think Ninja Kiwi is never doing anything wrong.
Okay.
Really. These are situations where I would need to go back and watch ZZK like a hawk in every game and do the same with Ninja Kiwi to really get like a proper read on it. Because that's like the feeling that I get, which is clearly different to the sense that you get, which is ZZK is doing the right thing always, and it's great and it's really good and valuable.
That could very well be.
And I just have the same. That
could very well be true.
And Ninja Kiwi might not be doing as much as I feel like he is, right? So, but that would be my read from INTZ at least. Would be Ninja Kiwi's like my pick from that team to be.
I agree generally with that take. I don't have any counter, and I think that my hype from ZZK comes from his team fighting, not specifically map movements, which is something that I've been critical of other top laners for. So if I've just missed it for ZZK, that's entirely possible.
I think an interesting discussion to have. I'll try to keep it brief, which I'm never good at doing. So here we go.
No, we got time, man.
Yeah. You don't have to keep it brief.
Yeah, but I'm gonna try. Is like. I used to think that like, oh, you know, I used to die on because there's two schools of thought when you're picking MVP, right? Is like, okay, is MVP best player, or is it you're like strictly adhering to this definition of value, i.e. difference between the collective with and without the individual, right? And I have slowly come off my kind of like just contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian high horse. They're like, no, it must be value, and I'll like, you know, if I ever have to vote on an MVP, I'll submit the kind of contrarian pick. But I do think it's still an interesting thought exercise. Does your pick change? You know, because I think we're kind of taking MVP as like a little more leaning towards just best player. If you were to just think strictly value, right? If you were to replace X person with just a replacement level, like, you know, slightly better than academy product at their position, right? What's the biggest difference? And I think there's a shout. I think there you get into the Robo Tinones conversation, because the difference between when they are on and when they're not, night and day for Loud.
Yeah. And like in that...
So you're like Robo or Tinones are MVP?
I think the discussion becomes a lot more weighted in their favor when you think about MVP in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think because that depends on each team dynamic potentially as well. It's like, what does this team?
Yeah, exactly.
Need?
It's a very nuanced conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Because like,
I don't even know if I'm trying to like make a point with it. It's just thought exercise.
I don't think Robo fits that, honestly. The value.
Hidan on Loud, and Loud's a better team. That's my current position. I think
That's a take.
that's a take. That's my
Yeah.
take for the week.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Like, I don't think Hidan.
Clip that and ship that, everybody.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
one.
clip farming this week, but like, I think that's Hidan has shown that he can do both utility and carry to a high level degree and can test against top players in those roles and not generate losses, whereas Robo can. Robo can also blind pick Renekton and like get a draft advantage by just completely sacking off your top pick and still winning. Like, you can just blind pick your top and get the advantage elsewhere and he'll still be fine. Or he can TP bot lane into 5 people and cause your entire team to have to stop what they were doing to save him, which is that's not good. Like, it worked out, but it's not like a good thing that you had to do. So I think genuinely Loud become a better team if you sub in like 4 or 5 different top laners that we have into top for Loud.
Yeah.
So that kind of like value above replacement, I guess, sort of metric.
Yeah.
I think it tracks with the argument. I just disagree with the sentiment, but yeah.
That's yeah. So
if you had to pick if you had to pick an MVP, who are you picking for? Axe as well. You can go after.
If I'm picking just best player,
MVP. However you choose to
MVP,
define it
however
yourself, because
your-
I think that's just a different between
For your
everybody,
metric.
right? So
sure. Per my metric, I would say either Robo or Tinoms. Per just kind of like MVP best player, like most kind of, when you think, oh, who was the MVP of this split, just like kind of legacy broad strokes, I think it's Wiser. This guy's been playing at such a high level for so long. I get this kind of like the common answer, and that's fine. I'm a sheep.
I mean, it's common for a reason, right?
Yeah.
If it's
yeah,
good, it's
exactly. Like, but this guy's been playing at such a high level for so long, and he's gotten better. And I think Dean Keto kind of deserves a similar shout in that way, that he has just quietly been really good amidst all the turbulence that Pain has gone through the last few splits. And he's just gotten better this split.
good.
I think that's really cool. I think that deserves an MVP recognition.
yeah.
Axe.
Oh, do I still believe in Santa Claus?
Are you still Brunsey?
I think I still believe in Brunsey. I think I still do.
Yeah.
Which is really tough now because they're in 5th. So if Brunsey has created any value, it is on Fraud Watch firmly.
Yeah.
But hey, I think they've locked playoffs, right? So
Sure.
they're gonna at least
think
have
it's,
a chance to play.
Important to remember this is regular season MVP as well. So this isn't just like the last 2 weeks. You have to take the whole of regular season can go into it. One bad week. If one bad week defined the whole thing, then my Titan argument gets thrown in the bin.
Yeah.
A lot of our arguments
Oh,
get
yeah.
thrown in the bin because they had one bad week
Yeah.
just because they're recent. We shouldn't be disregarding it.
Yeah,
And the fact that
it's-
Brunsey had 7 out of 8 really good weeks.
Yeah. I do generally
keep
like
your
to
argument.
have it as the full split consideration, not like who's the best player at the end of week 9. I don't think that's
Yes,
as
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's
And that's hard to do.
That,
Yeah, that's
taking
why
that
I
into
like
account,
Nukui, I think still.
um,
I'm actually settling into this
I
Nukui pick.
do-
I'm betting in.
so my big issue is that I don't consider anybody but an AD carry for MVP. That's like my top rule right now. I
In
just
any
don't think
split.
any player
Every year.
outside that role has been valuable enough. So that's like my first role. So that means it has to be Titan, B-Boy, or Brunsey for me. And then the other 2 are like at 1st and 2nd in the league. So and like Brunsey's at 5th right now. I get the whole split thing. I understand that, but like losing to Los Grandes was awful, like truly awful. So that was.
Alright.
That was
So who do
really
you
tough.
pick then?
Brunsey. I picked Brunsey.
Still, to be clear.
difficult to defend. I find
Yeah.
Brunsey difficult to defend.
Yeah, and like I as I find myself a lot with like both the Pain losses and the Fluxy losses, I attribute so much of them to draft in this split. I'm never usually a person who attributes lots to draft, but this split, I've just been looking at some of these games and been like, what is this pick? How do you win when you do this to yourself? And then they don't do anything and they lost. I'm like, this was so easy to solve 30 minutes
Cool.
ago before we even got onto the Rift. And I think that draft was absolutely abominable for Fluxy, and they weren't so much better than Lost that it didn't matter. Which, given that Lost is improving, I don't even find that much of a problem, honestly. Because Pain have done this. Pain lost to Fury are doing the same thing, right? So I think draft has been really important in the split, and I guess we'll look at the coaches with beady eyes to be like, What are we doing here, Turtle?
Why did you kill my favorite team?
If you had to do I don't think we're going to do this on a show that we do. If you had to do a coaching all-pro, what would that look like?
That's so hard.
Okay, whose drafts are poggers and their team? So who's INTZ's coach? Aoshi, I give, because he has been with this team and built and improved this team with these 5 players. I think he deserves some recognition for that, at least somewhere.
INTZ goes 1 for me, for sure. Just because of growth from split to split. Even if they're not, topping the table, I think for me, when I look at an organization and like giving their backroom staff credit, it goes to how much did you achieve with how much you had. Like if you have an on paper first place roster and you finish first place, that's
Congrats. You did what you were supposed to.
That's like you go 5th for me.
That's a 500 percentage.
Yeah, you're straight down the middle. That's cool. If you have a team like INTZ who last split, not just on paper, but literally finished 7th, didn't make playoffs. This split have just beat 2 of the top teams in the league, making playoffs. Consideration for top 4. INTZ have overperformed. That doesn't just go down to the players; it does go down to the backroom staff as well. So, I think INTZ for me is just a clear 1.
Yeah. Especially with new players, they have 2 imports who are not did not come in with super strong language barrier. At least Nia, I think, did not come in with heavy English experience. ZZK at least was in TCL, so maybe had a bit. And then Gnosferus was in Academy 2 splits ago. Ninja Kiwi was invisible, not on Earth 2 splits ago, right? These are new players who don't have a lot of experience, and it just became fantastic. And also the fact that after the INTZ winner for Pain, we were selling that this looks like they're anxious, looks like they're nervous, they don't believe in themselves, came on the interview, and Aoshi said the exact same thing. So he believes, he confirmed my opinion on the cast, which makes him the best, smartest coach that there is. So I think Aoshi is an easy one for this split. Anyway. Is there anyone else that even has some sort of strong needle-moving material aspect to this discussion?
I think Maestro has an honorable mention shout for what he was able to do with Furia. Again, just went completely academy, right? This is a guy that isn't actually used to coaching kind of young talents. He is used to coaching, the good INTZ rosters. And so I think he deserves a shout for sure. Because, I think we can all look back and say, okay, were they overachieving? Yes, but you still can't take those away from them. And the excitement that they generated and bringing in a coach in, I believe SSB is his name, right? The Korean fella who encouraged he bought into the philosophy, and he allowed and encouraged IU to be himself and play Neela. Now, it didn't always work, but you are encouraging, you're not taking this kind of risk averse, I don't want to beat the stereotype, traditionally kind of Korean approach to League of Legends, right? When you bring the Korean coach into Brazil, what does that on paper seem to signal? We are going for a kind of back to basics, low risk approach, and that is exactly opposite of what they did. And okay, did it work? No, but the vibes were fucking sweet.
They were strong.
They passed the vibe
weeks 1 to 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Prize for #1 scouting in the league to Furia at least. Picking up Zai when Los Grandes let him go for some, and even Zai doesn't seem to know why that happened. Picking IU out and then knowing what to do with him. Okay, this guy, we should just put this guy AD carry. Actually, why are we running this guy support? Working that one out. Picking up Tuts after he'd had a bad split in CBLOL, bad split in Academy, and going, no, this guy is still good. Pick him up. Does great. Is now once again one of our top mids. So I think the scouting has got to be commended. The growth didn't happen as fast as we wanted. They haven't really gotten to grips with playing meta drafts yet, but these things take time. So
I think Maestro's really good. I think I was talking him up a couple of weeks ago on an episode as well. Just kind of how it seemed like the coaching staff was letting this young team do what they thought was good and play the champions they were strong on. And I think that's really cool. I will say of them, they're still not mathematically out like we talked about earlier. So I think taking a team that young and having, this level of we'll call it success.
I think it is success relative to what we thought. I think them finishing 7th isn't insane, but what they did on the way there, I would say they overachieved. Do you guys think that Furia overachieved on balance today or the split?
I think they achieved.
I mean, I think they on par. I
Yeah.
think this is what I would expect from this roster going in.
This is
I think
where
they really gave
listed
some
them.
teams and some big players black eyes at
Yeah.
the start of the
Yeah.
split, and I think that that's probably the best that you could hope for. What I will say about Furia is that I have to stop going to their Leaguepedia page because every time I see their birth years and it like makes me feel crazy. Like IU was born in
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah.
Shit.
When I see
like, oh my god,
see
man.
Papa Tuts there leading this team and he's like 20, I'm like, nah, I don't want to see
Yeah.
that. I don't want to see that anymore. But
2002,
the-
man.
it's worth in a team in a league that has 5 championship contenders right now, legitimately, because INTZ now has proved itself. The only one that we didn't predict was INTZ. Coming 7th, like you're not one of the top 5 teams in a league where all 5 of those teams could conceivably win the championship without being super surprising from this point. Now that we know INTZ is good, it's pretty good. That is exactly where we thought we'd be, you know.
The way the tables broke down has surprised to the top, but the bottom half of the table doesn't really look too different to how we expected it. I think Furia were expected to be the coming in, right? We all expected it to be Furia and INTZ battling for that last playoff spot. The fact that INTZ have overperformed, they've overperformed, so Furia just naturally left 7th place,
then
holding the candle.
Kaboom and Los Grandes kind of finished lower than we expected.
We basically swapped INTZ and Los Grandes, more or less. Like, INTZ we thought would be just on the outside, Los Grandes we thought would be in the picture, and it's just the opposite way around. So the rest of it's more or less...
That's a fair generalization.
I think, as we expected. Like, the top 3 is the top 3, but the rest is kind of fine, yeah.
So, coaching, it's INTZ, Furia, and then nobody else particularly has any strong opinions about any of the other teams below that, right?
I don't, personally.
To close out
Give us
that part? This isn't about coaching. This is more so a touch on how we touch base on what we think about VKS, because we haven't talked about them at all. They are our other playoff team. I think just want to touch base on general sentiments about them, because I feel like they are probably getting first rounded in playoffs and just dropping out and or rounding out our comp. Because you just said there, right? We have a top 5 that could all win the season. And then we just have another team that are also in playoffs. Is that the general prevailing opinion, that VKS are getting 0-3 and out?
Yeah.
Not 0-3. They'll
just one.
They'll do some shit.
Well, they only get one series, so
just
yeah.
0-3.
Okay, then 3. They'll lose with 3-1. I think they'll take game off whoever they play. I wouldn't be stunned if they went down 3-0, but I don't think that is an accurate representation of their
I think
level.
it depends who they go up against. Like, it's probably going to be Fluxo or INTZ, right? That ends up in the lower bracket, Loud with an extra game of leniency. I think if it's INTZ, I kind of think VKS get bombarded out of the league, and if it's Fluxo probably like trip over their own feet at least once, and VKS gets a game. But I just don't think this is another team that just didn't get any better. They didn't improve like in any way. It feels like Red is also the same. But
it felt like we had the same story. Yeah. We actually had the same story the entire time.
Every time they lose, it's the same thing going wrong. Every time we're setting them up pre-game, it's the same things that are affecting their games, you know? Whereas INTZ grew and changed, Fluxo grew and changed, Loud went back to where they were, in a sense, right? But even Pain grew and changed in a big way, and these are all teams in the top 5. And VKS are just still there, so...
I think VKS, sort of like we were talking about Loud, or INTZ rather, and like, okay, they play Loud and Fluxo. VKS, right? You've got 2 days left to make believers out of us. You've got Furia and Red. You could make some statements in those games, right? Red, if they're locked top 4, which they are, Red's locked top 4. Yeah, they're gonna have a little more motivation, but like Red, you know, they had literally Liberty and Kaboom and went down to both of those teams. VKS strike me as a similar sort of chaos engine in the early game. They can't really do much in the mid and late game if they're behind. Could you do something there, right? They've got a little opportunity to get back in our good graces, I think.
Yeah, it just makes me worry where they go from here. Is it a failing on the coaching side to know how to fix the problems or identify the problems properly, or is it just that we don't? There's a cap on these players. Like, we know 2 of them are championship material, at least in this region. I still think that there's just Trigo and Damage just don't have the source. I think they don't have enough to push them over the line versus the top 4, top 5
It's crazy
teams.
Because Damage is a literal 4-time finalist in a row.
And Trigo's a what,
Insane.
2-time, 3-time?
Yeah, it's like three out of the last 4. Yeah.
Yep. And
Nutty.
I
And here we are.
Where we go from here. I just don't know where we go from here, basically. With
I don't
VKS.
either. I'm glad I'm not getting paid to make those decisions.
I'm fine with VKS being like a 6-tier team. I'm just overwhelmingly happy with the rest of the league, with the rest of the league being so competitive. I think Trajan, you said this last week that if any minor region were the most competitive and have like the closest
easily.
top of the table, I don't feel the need for a league to have like 6 good teams that are so competitive at the top. Like that feels excessive in League of Legends, especially in minor regions. Yeah, like what I don't care if CBLOL has 6 good teams. Like I think if we have 3, we're feeling pretty good, and to have 5 that are competitive going into playoffs, I think is really cool. So
move in positive directions in the region as a talent factory, and also good import practice, like mostly good import practice. INTZ shows we can do that, you know, like you know, Trick didn't super work out, but they can't all work out, you know. Croc and Root, these are imports originally, and they've ended up being super strong parts. So I think we're getting a good balance of building our own talent and importing, you know, at least sometimes what seems like the right talent, as it were, a talent that we can make a good use out of. So it's all on the up and up, man. It's all on the up and up. We beat an LCS pretty consistently in like a year. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming, definitely for sure. I like you bringing up the imports too, because something I think we do really well with imports is that if you don't perform, you just get kicked out.
Get the boot,
like,
bro.
How many other regions like do players get imports and then they're just there forever, no matter how they perform? It's just okay, they live here now and they're in the league, and we have to.
And maybe that's good financial sense. Maybe they don't give they give the imports a lot. I'm this again conjecture. But maybe the reason that they stay all the time is because we can't afford to buy them out and boot them, right? Or ship them down to academy. And in Brazil, I guess maybe we're not giving them enough money to where you put yourself in contract jail.
Yeah. I think that's better. Sorry, that's
signing Abadaga on a 3-year deal to 100 Thieves type situation. You know, it's.
Bro.
I don't know if they did that, but like that's the type of situation where Abadaga did not work out in LCS.
It's like
so if he was on a long contract, he would have been
the perks 5 mil over 3 years or whatever it was. That's just like
God. Yeah, I mean that to me is the poster child.
What do we do?
Yeah, my hot take at the start of the split was that Trick wasn't that bad. And I don't feel strongly about defending that, but my point is, like the guy did like maybe like a subpar first couple weeks and then was just gone. And
I think that was a culture thing, right?
Yeah,
he just didn't vibe with the Brazilian.
That's the good thing.
Still,
is
I don't think that would happen in another region.
If he shows up and is unhappy, doesn't enjoy living here, doesn't want to play, doesn't want to do this, is having a shit time doing it, they were like, okay, you can go.
Leave. Yeah.
That's fine. We've got
an academy system.
Like, you can go academy, you can go home. Like, if it's not going to work, we're not going to hold you in Brazil. That's just horrendous, right?
Yeah.
So they were just like, it's not working. On your way, you know?
And you can imagine
best wishes.
A major region org being like, well, we get he's not jiving with the culture, but we can't call someone up from academy. Like, what are we gonna do? Why do we do that? He's got to stick around, just make it work. No, he's just out. He's just gone.
Just let people be happy, basically. Don't.
I forgot that Perks played on C9.
Right?
Jesus Christ!
Didn't we all? Yeah. Only C9 remember on their balance sheet where it's probably still there. Like, it's just it's so bad, man. It's insane.
Oh yeah. Are we cool with matches to watch week 9 now? And
so I agree with Redude's original. It's INTZ are the matches. Like, those are the coolest matches in terms of like an actual this team versus that team setup. The rest of them is like, well, maybe VKS.
I want to see
good, but I don't know. I don't think so.
If any of if either Kaboom or Liberty can like definitively take 9th. Because right now, Kaboom get 9th because they have 1 win in the back half of regular season. So they win 9th out and Liberty get 10th. But the fact that they're like 1-1 against each other, it has come down to like a weird tiebreaker. Just make it so you end 2-16 instead of 1-17, you know? Let's see if one of them can steal away a victory. I think it's going to be Liberty if anybody does, but they just both have absolute stonker games that they have to go up against.
Fury is the only winnable game here, man. Kaboom, Fluxu, and Pain, there's just no shot. Like,
Oh, if Furia
Golly.
lose to Liberty Academy, I'm gonna lose my mind, man. Oh, dude.
it'll be the
All of the
confirmation
goodwill and graces.
that you sold at the right time, you know?
I swear to God, week 3, I would have put IU MVP. I would have said, yeah, I was going to Worlds.
People
confidently.
he's the best leader carry in the league, and he did have some banger
Oh,
clips.
that was me.
I will say.
Yeah.
That was you know,
Yeah.
fire clips.
Oh, I remember now. Came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
right.
But
Yeah.
where did the
Uh,
where did the clips go? You know, whence are the clips from IE? We just do not see the clips anymore.
Definitely not on youtube.com/@CBLOL English.
Yeah.
If you want some
TikTok.com/CBLOL English.
If you want some clips, there's clips out there. But yeah, it's just we just didn't, maybe he just doesn't have room to do that anymore because the other team's shaped up and like don't give him room to outplay because it's not, there's always two sides to every outplay, right? Like so
Yeah.
maybe it's just not given the opportunities as much anymore. Lucian's not being picked, you know, so well.
I like watching. I think I already said I want to watch Fluxu just to see how they play. After the O2 week, I think watching VKS here too, get their like last shot at like maybe proving something to us, is interesting. And they have some close games too. Furia and Red. I think they could maybe win both of those, or at least they'll be more competitive than some of the matchups here. So those will be fun to watch as well. Do we have a match of the week contender? Is it INTZ Fluxu? I think it might be INTZ Fluxu.
Or INTZ Loud.
It's that or INTZ Loud. Yeah.
Yep.
They share it, I think.
Yeah. I don't think we have an official one given to us yet, but it's definitely getting.
Fluxu
Oh, we
is
have?
the-
Okay,
yeah,
INTZ
INTZ Fluxu
Fluxu.
is the official
Okay.
one. And yeah,
Oh,
Very
okay.
cool. Very cool.
hopefully they'll be good.
Trajan, how are we doing on runtime?
We're at 1:15, though I did start this recording quite early,
Oh.
so we're probably more like 1:05, somewhere in there.
Very cool. I'm cool with 105. You guys cool with 105?
Yeah.
I'm cool
Cool.
with 105.
I think we're good here, folks. We had a weird game that I'm gonna put a lot of work into.
We're learning.
for
We're
next
growing
time.
in this sport, you know.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna have fun. And hopefully next ep we can get a couple new members. I know this like core 4 along with Hawk have been basically the entire podcast for like the last 3 weeks. We've had a lot of people traveling and stuff, so we're gonna switch that up for next week. But for this episode 9, I've been Axeman87, Trajan, Rude, 4Y4. You've been watching Gringos Liberados. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.